Grant, you play a little golf with Drew. I know we've talked about that a little bit. Have you gotten a chance? I know you've been busy with some other things, but have you gotten a chance to keep up with this master coverage that we saw yesterday?
I have, actually. First off, how are y'all doing today? I'm excited to talk to y'all. Feels like I'm back at Arkansas hanging out with everybody.
Wow, absolutely, man. And we were kind of just talking about what Tiger went through from an injury standpoint. I know for you, dude, you had one arm 2 years ago, and I remember like you were ticked off at yourself because one of Matt Corral's interceptions went through your hand, and then the next one you ended up taking back for a touchdown. For a guy that's gone through some gruesome energies and just gruesome pain, how do you work through that like Tiger Woods seems to manages the pain that he's going through?
After watching yesterday, I watched all of Tiger's round. I would say, we don't know what to expect anymore with Tiger. I feel like I've watched him for the time as I've watched golf for 10-plus years. I think, every time I think he's going to do something, he just surprises me and does so much better. So I think with injuries, you kind of got to make sure you're at your own pace. He took 15 or 14 months off. And when he comes into a tournament and says he's going to win it, that's just like every other athlete. We don't go into games thinking we're not going to win. So, when he goes into a tournament, and I was so excited when he said it, because, you could tell he had his fire back, his passion back. I don't care if he would have shot 10 plus or plus 10 yesterday. The fact that he came in there and said, I want to win this tournament means he's ready to go for 4 days. He's ready to put on that red shirt. So I'm ready. I'm excited to see the rest of the tournament. But I was super excited. But that's kind of how you have to attack injuries. You got to go at your own pace and make sure your mindset's ready more than anything. Because if you go in thinking it's going to be a long 4 days, then you're not going to be able to make it past the first day.
Grant, you speak to fire and passion. There's been that injected back within Arkansas football, and I know you're probably looking at this home schedule like, man, I wish I was one less year older because I could play in this. I mean, this is what Clay has described as the best home schedule in Razorback history. Ole Miss, LSU, Bama. I mean, you got all these great Spencer Rattler. You got all these great players, coaches, and teams coming to Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. With your conversations with some of the guys, how excited are they for this upcoming season ahead in the toughest schedule in college football?
Yeah, they're really excited. I think I was talking to Bumper the other day. I think the way he's attacking this time is going through spring ball right now and acting like every single week is just a new week. When you look at our schedule, when you walk through the locker room still, they have every single team we play, and it starts with Cincinnati. And that alone is a huge game just because, they're usually a top 15 team. I'm sure they'll be ranked going in next year. But these guys, they're attacking it just because they're all a bunch of new guys. There's our defense is returning a lot, but, there's still guys who played before. And so they're attacking this schedule just like we have the last 3 years. I wish I could have another year. I wish I had 10 more years playing Arkansas. But the thing is, you got to get money sometimes. You can't just be a student your whole life. So I'm excited to watch them. But more importantly, I know they're excited to get out there because we faced 10-game SEC schedule. They're not afraid of anybody, so they're excited to have those games at home and be able to have a crowd ready to go.
How many Grant Morgan jerseys are we going to see in Razorback Stadium this season? I know that they just partnered with the Brander Group at the University of Arkansas. We're going to see some Bumper. We're going to see some Jalen Catalon, some KJ Jeffersons. Grant, how many Grant Morgan jerseys are we going to see in Razorback Stadium this season?
Honestly, I have no clue how that's working. I've talked to my agent a little bit about that, but I don't think very many. I think if I'm anybody, I'm wearing a Bumper Pool jersey just because that's my guy. But you'll see one of those on me if I come back. So I don't know about me. I'm not too worried about that. I want these kids. I had my time. I want everyone to enjoy everyone else. Catalan deserves to have everybody in the nation wearing his jersey. Same with KJ. So I'm excited just to be able to let them have that opportunity because this is a time where players can finally say we're enjoying our time. We're getting something out of it instead of the whole stadium being packed and watching you, but you don't get anything. So I'm excited for them and excited to wear a Bumper Pool jersey. I'll say that.
I love it. KJ Jefferson, you got a chance to play against him in practice. We've heard great things. Clay's come on this radio show and said, man, his accuracy, it's looking lethal, man. You saw him progress last season. I think he completed his passes at a 76% clip in November. Now he looks like he's going to be even better and more healthy. What should we expect, and what have you heard about your former quarterback in the offseason?
Yeah, so I think what you should expect is the same guy. I think when you get a KJ Jefferson type guy and throwing, say he had the highest QBR rating or QB rating in Arkansas history or something like that, I think thing is when you get something like that, the number one thing you have to do is be consistent year in, year out. So when he gets here this year and he's doing the same stuff as last year, I don't want anyone to be surprised because that's the type of guy he is. He's not a guy who you're going to worry about off the field and stuff like that. He's a guy who wants to be here and wants to be the best. But what I've heard from everyone throughout this spring, throughout the 6 or 7 practices they've had, is he's taken a bigger step. And I remember I always used to talk about how I'm trying to get him more vocal and how I'm trying to get him to lead more. And he continued to take a step further in the right direction to be a better vocal leader, and how he even sometimes talked over me, and I loved it. And I've heard that he's becoming the guy on the team who everyone looks to. Him and Bumper have kind of taken over this team and said, listen, this is a team that we can win a lot of games. And so I'm excited to see how he leads on the field, too, whenever games come. But I've heard a lot of good things about how he's talking right now.
All right, last question with me before I let Clay get in here. I know that Drew Sanders is not a guy that you played with, but coming over from Alabama, got injured for the Crimson Tide, lost his job to Dallas Turner. I know that Barry Odom and Michael Shearer and all those guys are thrilled and ecstatic to have him. Your boys with Bump. What's Bumper Poole said about his new teammate and what Drew Sanders brings to that linebacker room?
Yeah, so I've watched some film with Shear on all the linebackers here this time, just going up there and talking to everybody. And what they're all saying is the guy's a freak. He's exactly what you would expect when he's a sophomore, whatever he is, with COVID years, whatever. But sophomore going into this year and how he's playing and how he changed a whole new position and how he's learning all these new things and he's picking it up so fast. He's just a freak. Like, you don't learn a whole new position and just be good at it. And he's starting to get the feel of the inside linebacker, and he's starting to know what to do. Bumper told me a little story the other day about the intensity of his pass rush, Drew's pass rush. He is a guy who you can tell has played on the edge because that's what he did at Bama. When they go to pass rush moves against the running backs or on the bags with the linebackers, everyone kind of watches Drew, and Drew kind of leads it and shows what you're supposed to do. And then everyone else kind of learns, and he's been teaching forklift techniques and stuff we haven't ever learned. Just because, like linebackers, we don't do a lot of pass rush when we do. We have to know it. So after practice, they're going and learning all that stuff from Drew. And it's crazy to hear that because he's come in so quick. But, the thing is Bumper's such a good leader that he knows the things he's not good at, and he knows what they can learn from him, and that's what he's doing. So it's just fun to hear that Drew is bringing something like that to the table, and he's being such a good athlete and freaking he's learning something quick.
Grant, a linebacker's job is to tackle running backs. That's just cutting it down to, the essence of what that is at your position. What's it like when you see Rocket Sanders, Dominic Johnson, A.J. Green, and they've got a young, freshman that's in there too, that in that same cut. What's the ceiling for these guys, these running backs? Because you practiced against them last year.
Yeah. I think it's Dubinion you're talking about.
Yep, exactly.
Running back. So I've heard he's a freak as well. I heard to watch out for him, but I think the ceiling for them is as good as they want to be. I think whenever one kind of stands out and becomes a leader, and I know Rocket's done a really good job starting to be vocal, and Coach Schmitty, the thing with him is he's such a good coach and getting players to all play together. I think the ceiling for them is going to be really scary for defenses. I'll tell you right now, as a defensive-minded player, when you go into games against 4 running backs that can all play and play at a hard level or a high level, it's hard for defense to kind of get a break, really, because when usually they take out their starting running back, you're like, okay, this guy's coming in. He's a one-dimensional thing. He can only do one thing, and you got him. But whenever you got 4 guys who can kind of do everything similar and good at it, I know it's hard to stop just because you have a good O-line. You have a good running back group that has 4 or 5 guys who can play. They just keep reloading, and that's what's hard to stop a run game, especially in the SEC when you got guys like that. So their ceiling's as good as they want to be. I think one of them or 2 of them is going to stand out and become the guys kind of like last year, how Dom did at the end of the year. He became a guy we wanted to give the ball 20 times a game. But the thing is right now is who do we do that with? I think as a coaching staff, I bet they're probably saying, hey, we need to continue to split these guys' reps evenly because we need a guy to stand out and be able to be the guy. But the thing is that they know at the end of the day we can play 3-4 like we did last year. So it's fun. I'm excited to see what they do, too.
I'm going to take you back to Tiger conversation and throw it in a little bit like what Ty did, but slightly different. Which was more important for you physical health or mental toughness? Because I think Tiger is the mentally most tough athlete that's ever come down the road.
Yeah, I think it would be mental toughness for me. There was games last year, 2020, where I shouldn't have played at all. There's games I shouldn't have probably even put anything on my arm or on my leg and sat on the sidelines and watched it. And what's bad is I sat out one game against Alabama, and it's because they forced me to. The doctors literally pretty much took my helmet away. So I would say mental toughness, especially at a high level. I would agree with you. I think golf is the most mental challenging sport in the world. Because realistically, there's athletes that play golf, don't get me wrong, but that's probably the most unathletic sport, but it's the most mentally challenging, which makes it the hardest sport. Because I believe in mental toughness. That's the number one thing. Yes, you have to have the physical strength and the physical awareness of being non-injured. But at the end of the day, you can have mental toughness and get through certain hurt and bumps and bruises and stuff. So I'd say mental toughness, but I agree with you on the Tiger standpoint. I think he's mentally tough, and I'm not going to lie, I would put me right up next to him.
Okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. What's it like to be Grant Morgan when you go out to dinner or you're around the state, and how has it changed to be Grant Morgan from 2 years ago?
Yeah, it is an uncomfortable question. I would say the difference is I'm enjoying wearing Arkansas stuff right now. I love being recognized and saying, hey, that's Grant. Thank you for bringing back football. Thank you for letting us watch and have fun. It was a great season. Stuff like that. But 2 years ago, it wasn't fun, or 3 years ago, it wasn't fun wearing Arkansas gear in public because people would just ridicule you. And then you have to answer questions about, oh, the new coach, how's he doing? Oh, y'all are going to get him this year. And it's yeah, we've said that last 4 years. So I was so excited to be able to have the years like we did. I will take every picture and sign anything that anyone ever comes up to me. It happens a lot. But I always talk to my wife about it. She's like, I like that. I like seeing that because you don't realize 2 years ago you didn't have anything like that. You never had it. Anyone who came up and talked to me 2 years ago, they'd ask me where Drew was. So it's good to hear my name and little kids calling me saying they're I'm their favorite Razorback. So I definitely have it this way more than the other.
So what's the weirdest thing you've signed?
I've signed some weird things.
A baby, Grant?
I have actually signed a baby, and it was with. I would not do it with Sharpie. It was with a highlighter or something. So,
well, if I had something, I'd let you sign it, and I would never said that about Drew. So you can hold that over your brother, okay?
I definitely will.
So where's Arkansas football going? Because last year was, just a beautiful ride. I mean, it was, it was, and it got better and better and better and more fun, and the whole state just like Coach Pittman says, stuck out their chest with pride. But what was it like to be on that ride? And where's it going?
Yeah, I'll answer the where's it going first. So where it's going is exactly where you expect it to go. I've said this to many people. I think people underestimate how big of a deal it is to win 10 games in the SEC. I think we're going to win 10 games. I think people are saying, oh, we have to win a national championship at Arkansas in the next 2 years, or it's a fluke, or it's a bad thing. So I think if we win 10 games the next couple of years, I think that's what you're going to expect for Arkansas is we're going to compete for 10 games every year. I think if we keep, I would say 4 people, if we keep Sam Pittman, Barry Odom, and Coach Browse, and then if you talk about KJ Jefferson, I think if you keep them, we can do anything this year, you think. I think we could win a national championship. I think we win 10 games. But if those 4 guys are still here, then I think the rest is endless. I think the way they're playing and coaching is unheard of right now in the whole SEC or NCAA. But I would say the feeling for that for Arkansas is so crazy because we are literally, everyone jokes about it, we're a sleeping giant. People don't realize our facilities are some of the nice in SEC. That was the first thing Pittman said when he came here from Georgia, the team that just won the national championship. He said, y'all don't realize y'all have better facilities in Georgia. You have more stuff, you have more resources. We're the only big school in Arkansas. Look what they're doing in recruiting for basketball. Look what they're doing in baseball. Look what they're doing in football. Everyone's just a sleeping giant woken up, and that's what it is. So I'm excited to be the giant instead of the little guy, and I know that's what Pittman's bringing here. We're in the same program as Kirby Smart was at Georgia 6 years ago. This is what our year 3 in the Kirby Smart program, and he got it from Nick Saban, who's now in the year 16 program or year 15 program, and look what they're at. So that's what our ceiling is. We want to be able to compete with them and be able to beat them. But we're not going to be Georgia, Alabama. We're going to be Arkansas, and we're going to set the new standard for that. But I think you keep those guys, it'll be a really fun ride this year. And then what it was this past year, it was fun. To win 9 games and be a part of that team, to go to Outback Bowl and be a good Penn State team, that's just something I'll remember for the rest of my life, just because like I was going on 2-10 seasons, then we went 3-7, and then it goes to that. And it's just, we knew it would come, and it was like one of those moments where like you put all the money in or put all the eggs in a basket, and you say, listen, I'm telling you this is going to happen, and then it ends up happening, and you want to show it to everybody, and like, I told you so. It's like one of that little kid moment where it's like, I told you so 100 times everyone you walk by. So it was so much fun being able to be on that team and be able to say I was a captain and to be able to just be around Coach Pittman for 2 years. That was great.
Grant, I don't think Clay or myself could sum it up any better than you just did, so we'll end our conversation there this morning. I know you're busy, so I appreciate you making some time with us. Enjoy the Masters the rest of this weekend, and I can't wait to see where your career goes moving forward, my man.
Good luck in the draft, man.
All righty. Thank y'all. Thanks. Appreciate it. It was always good talking to you, Time Clay.
I enjoyed it.
Right, great conversation with Grant Morgan.
Is your number one source for all your betting needs, sports info, and odds. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's odds for the Masters Championship and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on popular sports and games. Bet online, where the game starts.